There is a lot going on in the market today. We have Bitcoin breaking 30,000. We have some recent news regarding some purchasing of miners by Cleanspark. And we have upcoming CPI. And in this video, we're going to look at all of that. We're going to start off looking at Bitcoin. We're going to see what the general market's been doing. Bitcoin's going up. Is the market going up as well? And we're also going to look at this Cleanspark news. Cleanspark today and yesterday has been rallying pretty nicely, and I'm going to show you it on the chart. Now, if you like these videos, consider hitting the like, subscribe, ring the notification bell. Check out the links down below. Stocks, cryptos, everything I go over will be in a link down below. And let's get into it. So first off, Bitcoin broke $30,000. And while this is great, this is fantastic, we do have another level to break out of. So looking ahead, we need to break this roughly 32,500 area. And just looking at the past here, you'll see that there's really no other resistances until the upper 30s. So I believe if we can break this 32.5 area, we are well on our way towards 40,000. But I did want to show you this kind of a wedge pattern that Bitcoin's created. As I mentioned yesterday, it did fail the pattern, tested the 200, bounced right back in it, and so far it does seem like it's respecting it. It does seem like this pattern's still in play. Bitcoin on the daily is becoming a little overbought on the RSI, but it of course could still continue up, and I would say it's a bit extended on the MACD as well. But that doesn't mean it can't continue to run, regardless of those indicators. But I am expecting a little bit of a pullback, maybe a test of the 50 MA, at the very least a test of this support level on this wedge pattern. And one thing we know with wedge patterns is ascending wedges are made to be broken. Descending wedges are made to break out of. So we may see a break of this ascending wedge, and we may see a test of some EMAs, maybe a test of these moving averages. But to me, things are looking great for Bitcoin, and this is going to help all the Bitcoin miners. And I do expect things to continue to go good throughout the rest of this year. Now, I did want to mention that CPI is coming out tomorrow as of this upload, and this could be a setup into CPI. So tread carefully. We may have a very volatile day tomorrow. But I do believe the Bitcoin bull market has started. We saw our golden cross back in February, and according to the halvings, we should continue to see this rally. Now, of course, we may see some pullbacks along the way. Maybe the CPI throws a little bit of a wrench into Bitcoin's gears, and we see a pullback. But regardless of that, I do see any pullback as a great buying opportunity, as I do think we are going to continue to go up and to the right. But look out for CPI tomorrow. I should be covering it, so stick around. And you might be wondering, okay, crypto's doing pretty good. What's going on with stocks? And currently, we've got a little bit of a mixed bag here. We do have quite a bit of green, we do have quite a bit of flat, but these larger growth stocks are a bit red today, which is kind of interesting because typically you see a lot of these go hand in hand with Bitcoin. It seems Bitcoin is decoupling from the stock market over the last couple of days. And besides today specifically, we've generally seen quite a bit of red the last couple of days in the market, whereas Bitcoin, you see some green. You see a nice run on Bitcoin. So I like seeing that Bitcoin is kind of decoupling from the stock market, because if we do have upcoming fear from CPI, upcoming fear from maybe one more rate hike, fear of job data coming in bad, the housing market coming in bad, despite the stocks potentially falling, Bitcoin could continue to rally, as it seems to be not necessarily following the trend of stocks. Now, I did also want to pull up the SPY and show you guys that we are setting up for CPI. If CPI comes out good, we could see a breakout of this previous peak here in the January-February area. If not, we're going to be creating lower highs, and we could potentially test some lower levels, maybe test this ascending support here. But I do think a lot rests on these CPI numbers, and gives us a real idea of where the Fed is going to go. Are we going to see one more rate hike? Are we going to pause here and potentially see a pivot by the end of the year? See rate decreases by the end of the year? I think a lot of that rests on this upcoming CPI, and I think the market agrees. Now, I did want to pull up Cleanspark. We're seeing a really nice day today, another 11% day. Cleanspark has finally been seeing its day in the sun, whereas all these other miners were running while Cleanspark wasn't, and people were saying, what gives? Why is Cleanspark not running? This is bullcrap, Cleanspark was in the 4s or something when Bitcoin was in the 28s, and now it's not. Well, Cleanspark's a stock. It's not just going to follow Bitcoin blindly. They do have a small Bitcoin balance. Of course, they are tied to Bitcoin, but it isn't going to go hand in hand. You're not going to see 5% on Bitcoin, 5% on Cleanspark every day. What I expect to see very soon is when earnings does come out, which is about a month and a half away from now. When earnings comes out, I think that's one thing Wall Street's going to be looking for. And while yes, in general, if Bitcoin goes up, these miners of course will go up as well. Just as if Bitcoin falls, these miners will fall as well. But there's a lot more to it. These miners, there's a bit of a lag here because of earnings data. We're going to see January, February, and March what Cleanspark really did when the earnings comes out. And I do personally expect we're going to see a record-breaking quarter, and that's with Bitcoin under 30,000. Now, what are we going to see on the next earnings? We're talking April, May, and June. Well, if Bitcoin continues higher, we are going to see another record-breaking quarter for Cleanspark and maybe even profitability. But quickly looking at the chart, I do want to see on Cleanspark, I want to see a breakout of this 200 MA. This is this green line here. And if we can break out of the 200 and at least consolidate, maybe trade sideways, maybe try to push higher, we are going to see our golden cross finally on Cleanspark. That is one thing I'm closely looking for. So be ready. We've seen a couple of good days. We could potentially find resistance here at the 200 MA one final time and pull back again, break this potential level of support right around this 240 area. But I do want to go into some Cleanspark news that just dropped. And we have news here that Cleanspark is going to be doubling its Bitcoin mining capacity with a nearly $145 million expansion deal. Now, under contract, Cleanspark has roughly 16 exahash. That is their year-end guidance. They said they expect 16 exahash worth of mining output, and they're already on track to see that based on these contracts in play. But looking at this news, Cleanspark today announced a purchase of 45,000 Antminer S19 XPs for a total price of $144 million, nearly $145 million. Now you might be wondering, how are they going to purchase this? They are low on cash looking at their balance sheet based on last earnings, and their Bitcoin balance is only right around 200 or so. Well, obviously, the elephant in the room, one thing they're going to do is they are likely to have to dilute. And also one thing to realize is, if you're looking at Yahoo Finance, looking at their balance sheet, this is all based on their last earnings. This isn't current. They have been increasing their revenue quite dramatically as Bitcoin's been rising in price and as they've been increasing their hash rate. And a lot of this money needed for this expansion is going to come from their Bitcoin mining output as well. In January, February, March, they pulled in right around $45 million in revenue. And we'll see in their earnings report how close they are to actual profitability. We may see it next quarter, believe it or not. But I do expect as the year ticks on, we will see some of this being paid for by some of their profits as Bitcoin continues to push higher. That could just be the optimist in me, but I really do see that potential. I really do see the potential for Cleanspark to actually be profitable before the end of this year. Now, continuing into this news, all units are expected to be ready for delivery by the manufacturer before September's end, adding once deployed over 6.3 exahash of computing power to the company's current hash rate of 6.7. And according to the purchase agreement, the manufacturer will prepare 25,000 of the 45,000 units for delivery in August, while the remaining 20,000 are expected to be ready in September. The company plans to deploy all the acquired units at the Bitcoin mining facility in Sandersville, Georgia, which is currently undergoing a planned 150 megawatt expansion. The machines will be deployed in multiple batches as they arrive on site and new rack space becomes available, with all machines expected to be fully operational by year end. And I'll leave this down below for you, but I'm gonna fast forward to this statement right here by Zach Bradford. With approximately 99% of the required servers secured, we have addressed a key variable and can turn our full attention to the build out of infrastructure at our campuses. But what do you guys think about this news? How do you feel about the crypto market lately? How do you feel about the stock market? And what are you expecting for CPI coming out? Let me know down below. Thanks as always, guys, and I'll see you later.